The following is a live presentation of Retro Sports Network, home of the champions of the past, present, and or future. My name is Ron Juckett. Good morning, afternoon, evening. Welcome to the program for the 7th day of January 2026. For those watching later, that remind me, just like when we used to write checks, you remember those pieces of paper that were worth a certain amount of money, and it would take 2 weeks to remember that the year had changed. Apparently, I said it was 2025 yesterday. Nope, it's 2026. Anyway, how are you? Today, we had the fourth of our four openers. Again, it's a split day doubleheader, so this is from Tuesday, April 7th, 1986. The Chicago Cubs, who probably have a fair amount of hope that will be dashed in a few weeks, of going back to the playoffs after their run in 1984 against the defending National League champion St. Louis Cardinals. So we have both of the World Series teams on, and their openers, the Royals last night and the Cardinals today. The Cardinals, not sure what their deal was. They would finish 86 at 79 and 82. They have Vince Coleman back, so they have all the speed there. I'm just not sure if it was bullpen or hungover from, like the Red Sox were in 87, from a disastrous end of the World Series. What gets forgotten because of what happened in the 86 World Series, the 85 Cardinals should have won Game 6 in Kansas City, but an umpiring decision just kind of turned everything, and Game 7 was an 11-0 drubbing by the Royals. So the Cardinals thought they had won the World Series, and instead they get blown out in Game 7. So it'll be John Tudor, friend of the channel, on the mound today for the Cardinals, and he had a good year. Rick Sutcliffe goes for the Cubs, and he did not. So the last of our openers, and the next week we just kind of take down the bunting and get right in the meat of the replay. But for now, one more opener. Cardinals-Cubs from Busch, next on Retro Sports Network. As Retro Sports Network presents Major League Replay 1986, opening day, or opening night, from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. It is the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs. And today's game is brought to you by DigitalDice.com, the best darn podcast on the web for your sports simulation and replay needs. Find us today on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, or wherever else fine podcasts are listed. How you doing, Tape Saturator? Happy opening day. Curtis, how are you? John Tudor is 32 years old. He made 30 starts in 1986. He went 13-7 for the Cardinals with a 2.92 ERA. You know what this doesn't say? Maybe it will as we get through, but how they finished in their respective categories. That was in last year's game. I'm sure it will as soon as we get into teams playing more than one game. 219 innings for Tudor, 197 hits, 81 runs, 71 earned, 22 homers. He walked 53 and just struck out 107. Curtis is a huge Ranger fan, and the Rangers finished closer than anyone to the other divisions. I wonder if we get Texas in the play and Bobby Valentine in the playoffs in 86. Lineup for the Cubs this opening day. Bob Dernier leads off in center field. The Manny Trio at third will bat second. Ryan Sandberg will go third and play second base. Keith Moreland cleans up in right. Leon Durham at first will bat fifth. Jody Davis behind the plate will bat sixth. Brian Dayett in left field goes seventh. Sean Dunston at short batting eighth, and Rick Sutcliffe will tell you all about his life story on ESPN at some point. He'll bat ninth on the mound, and Tudor can give you 115 pitches. That should get you into the eighth on a good day. Defensively for the Cardinals, Vince Coleman has survived being run over by the automatic Tarpaulin machine in St. Louis. He's a 6-5 and left. Willie McGee at 10-7 in center, and Andy Van Slyke Thumper is a 6-9 in right. Terry Pendleton a 9 at third. Ozzie Smith a 10 and a 10 at short. And yes, I think the Padres would love to do that trade over again with Gary Templeton. Tommy Herr is 6 and 8 at second, and his production starts to fall off the cliff, which gets him eventually traded in a couple years to Minnesota. Jack Clark was hurt most of the year. He only played 65 games. He's a 6 at first. Mike Heath is the catcher. He's a 5 and 5, and John Tudor an 8 on the mound with a .962 fielding percentage. Bob Dernier, 225 in limited duty, 4 homers and 18 RBI. It is a clear night here in St. Louis, and this is a night game. Winds blowing out to center at 15, and it's 77 degrees. Dernier in the right field. Van Slyke coming in, 1 out. For Benny Trio, who hit .296 in very limited duty, a home run, and 19 RBI. Mr. John rooting for the baby Bulls. The baby Bears. Trio punches this one into right. Van Slyke will throw it back in. You kind of have to wonder. After the Cubs won in 84 to get to the playoffs and then lost in horrible fashion. 85, the Bears went 15 and 1. And you're about to reach the point for Michael Jordan where the Bulls start to take off. So the Cubs going from being toast of the town to playing second or third fiddle, depending on the time of the year. Ryan Sandberg at 284, 14 homers and 76 RBI. Scotty, how are you? Gary, a pleasant good afternoon. How are you? That is a ground ball to the Wizard. Goes to Clark, and Sandberg is retired. 2 out, Trio to second. Here's Moreland. Keith at 271, 12 homers and 79 RBI. There's a ground ball to third. Pendleton has it over to Clark, and that will do. So first inning in the books for the Cubbies. They got a hit and leave a runner on. Half an inning in the books, no score. If you do a card signing with Rick Sutcliffe, don't ask about 1986. He went 5 and 14, 4.64 ERA, 27 starts. He finished 4. 30 years old, a fastball at 91, and a ground ball pitcher. 176 and 2/3, 166 hits, 92 runs. That's not good. 91 earned, 18 homers. He walked 96. That's never good. And struck out 122. How you doing, Greg and Jeremiah? That is true. The Hawks were competitive, but they wouldn't make the finals until the 90s. Here's the lineup for St. Louis. Vince Coleman leads off in left field. Willie McGee will bat second and play center field. Tommy Herr at second will bat third. Jack Clark will clean up at first. There's no one in the lineup today. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Andy Van Slyke, that had double-digit home runs. And Van Slyke only had 13. He'll bat fifth and play right field. Terry Pendleton at third will go sixth. Mike Heath behind the plate batting seventh. Ozzie Smith at short goes eighth. Tudor on the mound goes ninth. And Sutcliffe, on a good day, can get you 8 on 115 pitches. Oops. Defensively for the Cubs, Manny Trio a 5 at third. Sean Dunston an 8 and a 7 at short. Ryan Sandberg a 10 and a 10 at second. Leon Durham a 5 at first. Brian Dayett, D-A-Y-E-T-T, a 4 and a 7 in left. Bob Dernier an 8 and a 5 in center. Keith Moreland a 5 and a 7 in center. Jody Davis a 10 and a 9 behind the plate. Sutcliffe is 7 with a .974 fielding percentage. Yep, this is, by the way, it's got to be from Mark Shaw's collection. It was labeled Bush 93, and it is right. It is 1993, because if you look at the logos on the wall, if you count them, there are 7 for each side instead of 6, with the inclusion of the Florida Marlins and the Colorado Rockies. They should be competitive. Curtis, the Rangers, they finished second behind the Angels. And as I've said before, 85 wins in that division gives you a shout. Coleman at 232. Vince did not homer. He stole 107 bases and drove in just 29 and 600 at-bats. He's swinging away. That's up the middle. Sandberg snares it behind the bag over the first one out. For Willie McGee at 256, 7 homers, 7 triples, and 48 RBI. So this is the second year of the Mets and Cardinals trading the division back and forth. The Cardinals a lot better in 87. In fact, they went to the World Series and such. So this is right in the heart of that Met-Cardinal rivalry. McGee in the right. Back goes Moreland. And nope, that will stay in the yard. 2 out. For Tommy Herr, 252, 2 homers, and 61 RBI. Sutcliffe deals Herr a slow bounder to Sandberg over to Durham, blah, 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 and that will do. So the Cardinals go in order, no runs, no hits, no errors. After 1, no score. So Durham, Davis, and Dayett, with Dunston, that's a law firm, due up for the Cubbies in the second. The Bull at 262, 20 home runs, and 65 RBI. Right center, Van Slyke, 1 out. The Jody Davis at 250, 21 homers, and 74 RBI. Popped up, Heath to the screen, and a fan from Ferguson will make that grab. And the count is 0-2. Got him. First strikeout for Tudor. And 0-2 off speed, swung on and missed. Here's Brian Dayett. If you don't remember Brian in 86 with the Cubs, you'll have good reason. He only had 67 at-bats. 269, 4 homers, and 11 RBI. Right center, McGee has it for the out, and we're through an inning and a half. Cubs go in order, no score. So just looking through the stats as this lineup pops up, it'll be Clark, Van Slyke, and Pendleton for the Cardinals in the second. Jack at 237, but he only had 232 at-bats, and he was injured quite a bit the second half of 85. He had 9 home runs and 23 RBI. So I'm guessing, crew, that injury problems were part of the Cardinals' malfunction in 86. Clark, center field, back goes Dernier, makes the catch for the out. This is not a home run park. This is, of course, one of those circular cookie cutter stadiums with both teams called the Cardinals in 86. Van Slyke at 270, 13 homers and 61 RBI. This would be the last year of the football Cardinals in St. Louis. Struck him out. Sutcliffe finally's got one. A 1-2 curve, swung on and missed. Here's Pendleton at 239, a home run and 59 RBI. Got him. So Sutcliffe, a good inning. He chased a full count off-speed pitch, and that'll do. No runs, no hits, no errors. We go to third, no score. How original is that? Original being which? Which of my jokes did I forget already? Dunston at 250, 17 homers and 68 RBI. Sutcliffe and Dernier to follow. Oh, to have both teams be the Cardinals? You know, as a kid, Dunston pops it up. Pop them up! Aussie's there. 1 out for Sutcliffe, who at 208, a homer and 4 RBI. I kind of wondered as a kid, we're talking 7, 8 years old, why the football team and the baseball team were the same name. Because how original is that? I didn't realize until I started studying football history that the football Cardinals played in Chicago, which I'm sure most of you knew anyway, right? And moved to St. Louis in 1960. High ground ball to Tommy Herr, over to Clark, 2 out. The football Cardinals played at Comiskey for the longest time, and then I believe their last year played a handful of games at Soldier Field. John Tudor, opening 9, making D. Scott Howard twitch. 28 pitches, 2 2/3, a hit and a strikeout. Dernier 0 for 1. A Cub is a baby bear, yes. And New York Giants. But the football team was named after the baseball team. That wouldn't have been a home run in a phone booth. So, yes. You would think after many years, it was Chris Berman that brought back the New York Football Giants, that would have been forgotten, but the Giants will at least had that as a stadium liner or a cover once they moved into MetLife, the New York Football Giants. Remember, the baseball Giants moved to San Francisco in 1958, which would have made my mother 6. Dernier, right back to Tudor, throws to Clark for the out. So the Cubbies go in order again. No runs, no hits, no errors. Bottom 3, no score. So Mike Heath, who I remember more being in Oakland, Ozzie Smith, and John Tudor to face Sutcliffe. Heath, 205, 4 homers, and 25 RBI. The Blue Bombers of Winnipeg were named after a beer. Of course they were. Heath rips this one in the right for a base hit, and that's the first hit for the Cardinals. So here's Ozzie Smith. He'll swing away at 280. No home runs. Makes up for that game winner he had in Game 5, and 54 RBI. How you doing, Andrew? The 1960 Cardinals moved to St. Louis from Chicago. Yep. Isn't that what I said? I thought that's what I said. And they played at Sportsman's until this place opened up in 66. Base hit right field. Moreland will cut it off. Heath will hold at second. And that'll bring up Tudor, who is in a position to bunt, and Trio and Durham will oblige. John is a hitter at 153 and 6 RBI. And the Rough Riders was Ottawa versus Saskatoon? Regina? Tudor squares back to Sutcliffe. The play is at first. Sandberg is there, and the bunt is down. So Tudor executes the sacrifice perfectly. Coleman 0 for 1. Sutcliffe opening 9, 32 pitches, 2 1/3, 2 hits and 2 strikeouts. Heath and Ozzie Smith. Heath on third and Ozzie on second. It was the Toronto Argonauts that John Candy had a chunk of. The Rough Riders were named after a troop during the Civil War. Fly ball, right field, Moreland. Is that deep enough to score? Heath. Moreland makes the catch. Heath will try it. Smith on his way to third to throw to Davis, and they got him. 67 is not 100, Ron. And so after 3, Cardinals leave a runner on. They get a couple hits, but they cannot score. And after 3, there's no score. So Trio singled his first time up. Cat isn't happy. Then again, is anyone ever happy? That is a base hit center field. That's going to go all the way to the wall, and Manny's got a double. So 1 out, or nobody out for Sandberg, who's 0 for 1. Trio, when he was younger, had pretty good speed. Struck him out, 2 for Tudor. A 1-2 fastball swung on and missed. So 1 out for Moreland. Keith is 0 for 1. Manny Trio has both of the hits for the Cubs. Yeah, it was, as Greg tells you, it was the Toronto Argonauts. Didn't Gretzky have a chunk of that team as well? Fly ball, center field. McGee will come in and make the catch. Trio retreats. That was what Bruce McNall was the primary owner before Bruce got into trouble for... Bruce was not the most honest person in North America. Leon Durham is 0 for 1. A very small piece. And Candy, God rest his soul, would go to every home game and shake. I mean, he was such an ambassador for everything he ever did. Durham in the right. Van Slyke moves over in the alley to make the catch, and we're through 3.5. No runs, a hit. The Cubs have left on 2. And after 3.5, there is no score in St. Louis. So, here's as much of the season that's been played. The Dodgers are still in first. D. Scott says stop the count. Phillies have played the only game in the National League East until now. White Sox, Cleveland, New York, and Detroit all 1-0. And we'll play the rest of April 8th after this one's done. But Von Hayes wants it known that on this 8th day of April, he is the leading hitter in the National League at 1,000. McGee 0 for 1, Herr and Clark to follow. Got him. That's 3 for Sutcliffe. He's pitched well today. Tommy Herr is 0 for 1. That is into center field for a base hit, so Tommy reaches third Cardinal hit. Not going to immediately steal. Jack Clark 0 for 1. John wanted to play football as a pro, but he injured his knee in university. And then football's loss was our gain. One of the funniest sketches they ever did on SCTV is when he made the Maple Leafs. Of course, they couldn't call him that. That was funny. Throw to first. Her is back. Struck him out. 4 for Sutcliffe. A 1-2 at 91. Got him looking. 2 out for Andy Van Slyke, who's 0 for 1. The Bay Leafs. There you go. with the blue Maple Leaf colors with Bay Leafs. Yep. Great skit. I'm sure he was. I've never heard anybody. I mean, you say that about people. You can find people who can probably dish the dirt on, like Fred Rogers and all that. But I've yet to see anyone credibly say anything bad about John Candy. His daughter, by the way, who looks a lot like him, does an incredible podcast. Pitch or throw to first. Her is back again. Van Slyke strikes out. Sutcliffe's dealing, isn't he? No runs, 1 hit, no errors. We go to the 5th in a scoreless tie. So Davis, Dayett, and Dunston to face Tudor here in the 5th. It really is like looking in the mirror. She's not as big as her dad, but facial structure is the same. And she appears to be just as sweet. Jody in the right field. Van Slyke going back. Makes the catch. The wind is blowing out to left at 15. Brian Dayett 0 for 1. Struck him out. That's 3 for Tudor. A 1-2 curve. Inside. Got him looking. Oh, you've only been a son? Is the son the one that did the documentary for Amazon Prime? I Like Me. There's a nice current bio. That's the one that the family just did on Amazon Prime, right? Yeah. That is a ground ball to her. Tommy throws to Clark. And Dunston is retired. Halfway home, you get a commercial, and then we're going to spend the next half hour going through all the stuff that's going on in this game. Halfway through on a snowy day in Vermont, no score. You can't get much higher praise in the industry than from Steve Martin, who loved him. All right, here's a game recap for you. Take it all in. Take your time reading it. Let me know when you're ready for me to go to the next screen. If you joined us late, Chicago Cubs have 2 hits and the Cardinals have 3. Sutcliffe, 4 innings for the Cubs, 3 hits and 5 strikeouts. John Tudor, 5 innings and 2 strikeouts, or 2 hits and 3 strikeouts. Pendleton, Heath, and Smith to face Tudor here in the 5th. Terry is 0 for 1. And the documentary, Bill Murray is hoping they can find someone to say something bad about John. Yeah, no, I absolutely. Pendleton swings, ground ball to Dunston, over to Durham, and that's an error. Pendleton's going to reach. So Dunston, let's see. Oh my goodness, it hit Keith Olbermann's mom. But thankfully, she comes to these games wearing Blues outfits and a goalie mask. So a 2-base error as that goes in the seats, and Pendleton's on second for Mike Heath, who's got a single. He's 1 for 1. Ground ball to first. Durham's got it, makes a fantastic play. Pendleton moves over to third. Heath is retired, 1 out. And the first run of the game is 90 feet away for Ozzie Smith, who has himself a single. And they're going to walk him. For Tudor, with 1 out, they play for the bunt. Ozzie's going to try and steal the throw down, and Ozzie has it stolen. Bunt? We don't need no stinking bunt. So Pendleton on third, and Ozzie Smith on second with a steal and a 1-strike count. Durham and Trio playing back now. Tudor right back to Sutcliffe. Pendleton will hold. So it doesn't go as a sacrifice. It goes as a ground ball out. But the steal pretty much made the sacrifice moot. So 2 out for Coleman, who's 0 for 2. Sutcliffe, 71 pitches, 18 batters. 4 2/3. 3 hits, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. Base hit right field. Pendleton will score. Ozzie's going to score. And Coleman, who only drove in 29 in real life, gets 2 on opening day. It's 2-0 St. Louis. For McGee, who is 0 for 2. So the Cardinals manufacture 2 runs with 2 out. They throw to first, and Coleman just kind of laughs at Sutcliffe. Now they go. Coleman goes to throw down to Dunston, and they throw him out. I think, was that a pitch out? Does not appear to be. However, the damage is done. 2 runs, a hit, and an error. We go to the 6th on opening night in St. Louis. Cardinals 2, Cubs nothing. So Sutcliffe, Dernier, and Trio here in the 6th. I've always wondered, as an adult, because you don't think about these things as a kid, what was it like for Harry Carey, who was a legend both in Chicago and St. Louis, to come back to St. Louis every time the Cubs came to town? When Harry was with the White Sox, pitched to Sutcliffe, fly ball right center, Van Slyke makes the grab, 1 out. They didn't have to come to St. Louis. But when he took over for Jack Brickhouse, Bob Dernier, by the way, 0 for 2. 18 batters deep for Tudor, 62 pitches, 5 1/3, 2 hits and 3 strikeouts. He's coming back against a team that fired him. Whether or not he dipsied his doodle with Augie Bush's daughter remains a story that will never be answered to everyone's satisfaction. But that's reportedly why he got let go. And so, yeah, these couldn't have been These were games that you know that he was rooting hard for the Cubs. Pitch to Dernier, fly ball left field. Coleman moving over will make the grab. 2 out for Manny Trio, who is singled and doubled. He is 2 for 2. Base. Nope. Coleman's there. A little dying quail that Coleman was able to see all the way. Cubs go in order in the 6th after 5.5. Cardinals 2. Cubs nothing. So Willie McGee is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Herr and Clark to follow. 6 for Sutcliffe. He has pitched really well. 2-2. Got him looking on a fastball for Tommy Herr, who has singled. He's 1 for 2. 7 for Sutcliffe. A full count fastball, and Herr watched it. He flinched, but he didn't swing. Here's Jack Clark. He's 0 for 2 with a K. Sutcliffe looking for the side here. He's already got the good morning and the good afternoon. He rocks and fires, and Clark walks. Thanks, Jack. Here's Andy Van Slyke. Thumper has struck out twice. 0 for 2. Fly ball, right center. Dernier runs it down, and we're through 6. No runs, no hits. Cardinals have left on 3 now. We go to the 7th. Cardinals 2, Cubs nothing. So Sandberg, Moreland, and Durham to face Tudor. I'd like to know what those folks in the upper deck were. In 93, day game, school trip? It is weird. The picture we've used before was a morning shot of Busch Stadium because you can see the shadow of those arches in the outfield, which you would not see during the course of a game. I kind of wonder if that's a school trip. Sandberg 0 for 2 into left center field. Back goes McGee, long gone. Off the scoreboard out there, and it's a 2-1 ball game. So Rhino hits his first of the year. The cat does not approve. So here's Moreland. Keith is 0 for 2. 1-run game now, 2-1. Top of the 7th. Cardinals lead. Ground ball to Clark. Runs it to the bag himself. 2 out or 1 out. My guess, school trip. I can't make out who they're playing in the game. Oh, no, it's the Expos. I can tell that by the... What'd you have for breakfast this morning? I don't know, but I could make out the color shade of some random pixels on my screen. So it's a game against the Expos in either 93 or 94. Got him. 4 for Tudor, 2 out. 2-2. Got him looking outside. Here's Jody Davis. Jody is 0 for 2. Right center, McGee. Stretch time. 2-1 Cardinals. Ben Wirtz is our newest Patreon. Thank you so much. Ben, not required to be a member, but if you'd like, you can do that. Helps pay for all the stuff you see here. Terry Pendleton is 0 for 2. He has reached on an error and struck out. Or fielder's choice. Now I gotta look. He does have a run. He's 0 for 2. Generous Ben, or Gentleman, one of the two. Up the middle, that's a base hit. Dernier throws it back in. Terry takes a good-sized lead. Mike Heath is 1 for 2 with a single. Sutcliffe has pitched well, but Tudor has pitched better. Throw to first. Pendleton is back. A run on 3 hits for the Cubs and an error, and they've left on 2. Andy left his flashlight on as he was watching me. And he complains. 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Cardinals. They've left on 3. Heath, ground ball to Sutcliffe, flips it over to Durham, and Mike is retired. Pendleton moves to second, 1 out for Ozzie Smith, who has singled, stolen a base, and walked. And they're going to walk Ozzie Smith again. So Ozzie Smith, the man, the offensive legend, has drawn 2 offensive walks for Tudor. We're not stealing this time around. Oh, yeah, Andy got new glow-in-the-dark dice. Have you tried them yet with the lights off? Tudor's going to square. It's down. They throw to third, and Dunstan's there to tag out Pendleton. Hold on 1 sec while I yell at my cat. When she scratches at the door again. 27 batters deep for Sutcliffe, 6 2/3, 107 pitches. 2 runs, both unearned. 5 hits, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Ozzie on second, Tudor on first. Davis and Sutcliffe have a word. Runners go on the wild pitch. It hit the dirt and got away from Davis on an 0-2, so the count is 1-2. Smith on third. Tudor might try to stretch it on a single with 2 out. With 2 out, he's going anyway. Coleman 1 for 3. He had that 2-run single. I'm not kidding. He only drove in 29 in real life. He's got a chance for 4 on opening day. Andy's not tried his glow-in-the-dark dice. Really wanted a new decider die. That is cool. What are you hoping to play with glow-in-the-dark dice? Coleman lines this one over Durham into right field in a fair ball. Ozzie's going to score. Borland fishes it out of the corner. Tudor's going to score. Coleman's going to have a triple. And again, we're not kidding. He only had 29 RBI all year. He has 4 on opening day, which tells you that RBI is a pretty arbitrary stat. So Sutcliffe coming out with 2 out in the 7th, and here comes George Frazier. George, 31, fastball at 94, and a fly ball pitcher. 2-4 in 86, a 5.40 ERA. 35 appearances, all out of the pen. 51 2/3, 63 hits. How does he have numbers? He shouldn't have any numbers whatsoever. He shouldn't have any numbers whatsoever. Wow. That's interesting. 63 hits, 36 runs, 31 earned. He's 5 homers. He's walked 34 and struck out 41. But he's showing zeros across the board here for his replay. So Coleman on third. McGee is 0 for 3. Sutcliffe fanned him twice. Struck him out, and the inning's over. However, McGee has struck out 3 times. 2 runs, 2 hits, and the big 2-run triple from Vince Coleman after 7. It's the Cardinals 4, the Cubs 1. The cat caused those numbers. I think the wifey finally found the red bug because the cat is no longer talking. Brian Dayett, Sean Dunston, and a pinch hitter to face Tudor here in the 8th. Brian is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. That is a base hit into right. Only the fourth hit for the Cubs. Here's Dunston, 0 for 2. Fly ball, left field. Back goes Coleman. Vince will make the grab, and Dayett is back. And let's see what the Cubbies do with Frazier, who will only face the one batter. If he somehow bats, he went 0 for 4. Hopefully, the glow-in-the-dark paint isn't the radioactive stuff that was in those alarm clocks in the 50s and 60s. Ron Say! Hey, hey! The Penguin is 38. He hit .273 in 86 with 13 homers and 36 RBI. Dayett on first, 4-1 Cardinals, top of the 8th. That is over Ozzie Smith in the left center field for a base hit. Coleman did not get a good play on it. So the tying run is on for Dernier, who is 0 for 3. Radium dice. Andy, just like everyone else, has a big bag of various inside diet, as all 61-year-old men should have. I agree. Up the middle, Smith for 1, Clark for 2. So a 4-6-3 double play ends the inning. And we go to the bottom of the 8th. If there's a better name for a baseball player, I'm not sure what is. But say hello to Jay Baller. Jay is 25. He is an extreme fly ball pitcher. How the hell does that work at Wrigley? A fastball at 92. He went 36 times before leaving on the 24th of June. 2-4, a 5.37 ERA. 53, and he had 5 saves. Was Lee Smith hurt? 53 2/3, 58 hits. So he belongs to the Bob Stanley School of Closing. 37 runs, 32 earned, 7 home runs. He walked 28 and struck out 42. They used him to save 5 games with a whip of 1.602. Clark, and Van Slyke. Buddy Biancalana was a good closer as well. Tommy 1 for 3, a single and a strikeout. Right to Sandberg, 1 out. Here's Jack Clark, 0 for 2, a walk and a strikeout. That is into left center. Dernier will not cut that off. That squirted away. Dayett should have had a better play on it as the backup, and instead Clark's on second with a double. Oh, good baseball name. Letterman thought so. Yep, the Steelers had a backup quarterback by the name of Dick Shiner in the 60s. Andy Van Slyke, 0 for 3. He has struck out twice. And those of us who grew up in the Albany, New York area would watch TV 10's Action News, anchored by one Dick Wood. They don't pitch to Van Slyke. I wonder if that's Mr. Beta Tester, Andy, if that's was changed, the logic for that was changed in this year's patch. It's the 3rd intentional walk of the day. Pendleton 1 for 3. He has singled and struck out. So, Cubs trying to set up the double play. Clark on second, Van Slyke on first. Struck him out. Baller got him. 2 away. Chased a 2-2. There's a new patch. I can't check to see what the last one I put in was. Mike Heath 1 for 3 with a single. Baller and Davis have a word. Fly ball right field. Moreland. Intentional walk worked as we go to the 9th. No runs, a hit. The Cardinals have left on 6. We go, yesterday or Monday. I'll have to look when we're done to see, because I have a patch from 2026 already in here. After 8, Cardinals 4, Cubs 1. So Tudor trying to clean this one up himself. Trio Sandberg was a lone Cub run, the solo homer in the 7th. And Moreland. 3 to tie for Chicago, 4 to go ahead. Trio in the left field. Coleman has it 1 out. Ryan Sandberg homered his last time up, 1 for 3. Up the middle, past her for a base hit. So Sandberg goes 2 for 4. Moreland at the plate. Keith is 0 for 3. Okay. I will double check, but yes. So Sandberg, a good threat to steal. Runner goes, ground ball to Ozzie, steps on the bag for 1, throws to Clark, Cardinals win. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. John Tudor goes the distance. This one took 2 hours and 40 fake minutes. Cardinals win the opener. They go to 1-0, 4 runs, 7 hits, no errors. Cubs fall to 0-1, a run on 6 hits and an error. Cardinals left on 6, the Cubs left on 3. You're welcome, Curtis. So Tudor goes the distance. He's your digitalized player. Actually, Vince Coleman driving in 4 is your digitalized player of the game. Tudor, 9 innings, 6 hits, the lone run on the Sandberg homer in the 7th, and 4 strikeouts. For the Cubbies, Sutcliffe, I thought, pitched well. 6 2/3, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 earned. He walked 3 and struck out 7. And Frazier and Baller combined to get the last 4 outs, striking out 2. So the rest of this Tuesday in baseball, hold on, Curtis, and we'll go through how I picked the games for next week. Mets beat the Pirates 5-4. Dwight Gooden gets the win. Rick Russell takes a loss. Jim Morrison, Riders of the Storm, boom, 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 boom. 2 for 4, a homer, and drove in 2. The Expos doubled up the Braves in Atlanta 10-5. Bryn Smith gets the win. Rick Mailer takes a loss. Hubie Brooks 4 for 5 with a home run and a triple. Texas beats the Jays 3-2 in Arlington. Juan Guzman beats Dave Steve. Jesse Barfield a home run, 2 for 4 and a stolen base. Nolan Ryan strikes out 9. The Astros beat the Giants 3-0. Kruko takes the loss. Ashby 2 for 3, a homer, and 2 RBI. Dodgers break them up. They're 2-0. They beat the Padres 13-4. Oral Hershiser goes to 1-0. Dave Dravecki 0-1. Mike Marshall hits a homer, 2 for 4, and drives in 3. In 10, Oakland beats the Twins 5-4. Howell gets the win. Mark Portugal takes a loss. Salas, a palindrome, who had a palindrome day. 3 for 3, 2 home runs, and 3 RBI. And last but not least, the Mariners strike out 15 times as California beats Seattle 6-5. Monday, we will do Toronto and Texas, which means that's the last of the teams, which means also got to do that stadium. Last of the 4 playoff teams to get a stream, so that's that stream. We skip Thursday. The Wednesday stream will be New York and Philadelphia. Ron Darling and Gross. And the third stream of the week on Thursday is what I think the best day game is. That would have been on a national broadcasting company, and it's Toronto and Kansas City. Jim Acker versus Dennis Leonard. All right, that's the schedule. The bunting comes down. We get in the brass tacks of the replay next week. Thank you so much. As always, we'll talk to you next week. So opening day is done. Hope you enjoyed it. So long, everybody.